What do dreams about dust mean? If you're seeing a lot of dust or a cloud of dust in your dream and it seems to be the main focus of your nighttime vision, don't be too quick to dismiss it. You're not just looking at some empty detail if your mental camera in your dream keeps focusing on the dust. It's trying to get across certain key information that would probably help you in your waking life. It all boils down to a deeper level of self-awareness. So what is the general meaning of dust in dreams? It can stand for mental clutter. You know, every single day you think about things that are not really important. You think about things that have nothing to do with what you're doing. And in many cases, they get you all worked up. You spend a tremendous amount of emotional energy on stuff that, let's face it, doesn't really matter all that much. This is mental clutter. Things that you hang on to and that you spend psychological and emotional energy on. And for what? It's just a waste of time. Also, dust can represent intrusive thoughts. The first interpretation is actually directly related to the idea of intrusive thoughts because these thoughts have to come from somewhere. While they can take very terrifying forms, they have to come from somewhere, and that's because of your mental habits. So if you have a lot of mental clutter, don't be all that surprised if you suffer from intrusive thoughts. On the other end, when your mind sees dust, it's really trying to communicate with you that you should pursue clarity. You should look for simplicity in how you think. Because if you want to live a simpler life, if you want to live a life that is relatively drama-free, pursue simplicity. All of these interpretations are closely related to each other. They're just different sides of the same coin. But the key to interpreting dust dreams is to pay close attention to the context. But now that you have a good understanding of the general interpretation of this type of dream, let's dive into the contexts. What does it mean to dream of a dusty room? The main focus of this dream is the dust contained within an interior space. This is the key. You're not just in a random room and you're not just looking at dust. These two must go hand in hand. And if you see that, this dream symbolizes a need, according to your subconscious, to clean up mental and emotional clutter. It's telling you to do something, and because at some point, the things that you're hanging on to from the past that you cannot change or a future that has yet to come and probably will not happen is weighing you down. And it has reached a point where your subconscious has to step in and show you these signals because it's not making you an effective person. In fact, it might even be making you a toxic or a counterproductive person. Whatever the case may be, you need to become more organized and structured. This means simply committing to mental hygiene. What are the things that you need to let go? How do you recharge your emotional batteries at the end of the day? Do you even do that in the first place? These are the things that you need to think about because that dusty room represents your inner space, your mind. And the more dust there is in it, the harder it is for you to see, the more likely you are to cough. And here's another piece of trivia that should freak you out. Sawdust floating in an enclosed space, and if there's enough concentration of that sawdust and air, can lead to explosions. So don't be all that surprised if you hang on to so many things mentally and emotionally that you end up having a breakdown because you're spending energy for anything that you hang on to. What does it mean to dream of dusting? If you see yourself with a feather duster or some sort of dust handling equipment in your dreams, you are going in the right direction. Your dream represents commitment or the beginning of some sort of commitment to clearing away mental and emotional debris. This does not just represent past trauma or memories, but it can also represent coping mechanisms, attitudes, assumptions, and expectations. This is why you should continue to do what you're doing in your waking life, because your subconscious is telling you you are going in the right direction. Maybe it needs to be more streamlined. Maybe you need to get actual certified professional help, but you're definitely going in the right direction. Make note that when it comes to your mental and emotional health, there is no space for shame. This is your health we're talking about. Think of it this way. If you broke your leg, would you be embarrassed to go to a doctor? Of course not. The same goes with mental and emotional issues. They're just as important, if not more important, than a broken leg. So the key here is when you see yourself dusting, realize that you are going in the right direction, but you might want to step it up by getting professional help. What does it mean to dream of dust settling? Dust settling in a dream can take many different forms. There can be some sort of rain, and then all of a sudden, all this dust and mist starts to settle. It can also be the conclusion of you working in a workshop, and after all that construction is done, the dust starts to settle. What this means is that there is some sort of gradual elimination happening in your life of people, ideas, coping mechanisms, and yes, their attached thoughts and emotions. You're beginning to move on. And this is illuminated by your clear desire for some sort of mental clarity and simplicity. This is, again, just like the dream of you dusting, is a step in the right direction. You know how important it is. You know how dangerous hanging on to emotional baggage can be. So you at least have a good idea about the benefits of simply letting go of mental and emotional clutter. The key is to scale it up to a point that you have no chance of going back. And that's the kind of decision only you can make. But it's definitely a good commitment if you decide to go in that direction. What does it mean to dream of dust storms? If you've ever seen footage from Iraq during the Iraq War, you would see that there was certain dust storms from time to time. This can be very terrifying, and dust storms can happen in any desert where there's a lot of wind. In your dreams, this can represent turbulence and the unsettled nature of your thoughts, which brings us back to the general meaning of dust dreams, which can involve intrusive thoughts. If you've ever had intrusive thoughts, you know how scary they could be, because a lot of the times they don't reflect your character. You can be a very peaceful person, and one of the most intrusive thoughts you can have involves unaliving somebody or causing them harm. This kind of begs the question, if it's so out of character, where do these thoughts come from? And this is precisely what dust storms try to represent in your dreams. It indicates that your mental habits have progressed or broken down, depending on how you look at it, to the point that you are susceptible to intrusive thoughts. You may think you know who you are. You may think that you have a clear idea of what your character is and what you can and cannot do, what you are and are not capable of. That is all well and good, but it will freak you out when you are completely honest with your intrusive thoughts. You basically be surprised. You say, where did that come from? Did that come from me? I know who I am, and this is not my thought. But the truth is, it came from you because of your habits. So your subconscious is telling you through the image of a dust storm that you need to be aware of what you assume, how you treat people, what your assumption is when it comes to dealing with people. Because eventually, you may think that you're one way when in reality, you actually have the character of a completely different person, and it only needs one special event to test your character, and then boom, you end up doing something that in a million years you would not even imagine of committing. Just a quick reminder, if you are enjoying this video, please click the like button and hit subscribe. Please be sure to click the bell notification icon so you don't miss any of our updates. Thanks a lot. Now back to our dream analysis. What does it mean to dream of dusting off old memories? Nostalgia is the mental state where you long for or you yearn for a past time in your life or a past historical moment. You read into it all sorts of good feelings. You keep saying, those were my golden years. Those were the times that I wish I lived in. And there's that intense longing there. What if I told you that nostalgia for the longest time was seen as some sort of mental defect or a form of insanity? It's only been recently that nostalgia has a positive spin to it, but for the longest time, people did not see any value in living in the past. And it's easy to see why this is the case, because you live in the present, with its present drama and trauma and challenges. It also has a lot of blessings, positivity, and amazing people. Live your life today. And unfortunately, whenever we compare our present life with how things used to be, the realities of the present become highlighted. So if you're having a tough time paying your bills, you don't know where your next dollar is going to come from, that's highlighted and you're emotionally all worked up. It's upsetting you, and which makes the retreat into the past or the tendency to take comfort from the past even all the more tempting. So we end up glorifying the past, taking out all the bad stuff, sanitizing it, amplifying the stuff that went right to a ridiculous degree. We blow it up out of proportion, and then we desire it. Let me clue you in. The past is not as awesome as you think, and the future is not as scary as you assume. At the end of the day, all you have is the present. So start living there. And when your subconscious keeps showing you, dusting off old memories, looking at old pictures and whatnot, it's trying to flash a red signal in your mind that you are slipping into nostalgia, and it's not helping you deal with reality. Because I know it's a hassle, I know it has its challenges, but if you look closely enough, there are a lot of beautiful things happening right in your life right now. There are a lot of things that are worth celebrating. There are a lot of things worth remembering and cherishing, but it's all happening right now. So focus on that. What does it mean to dream of dusting off old skills? When you dream of picking up a book that you've mastered before, or you read before, or looking at your diploma and seeing that you passed or graduated in a certain specialty and you're now working in that industry, you may be reconnecting with old skills. You may be remembering past abilities. This is a very positive dream. Why? It's very easy to be overwhelmed with the challenges that you're facing today. But when you see yourself dusting off old skills in your dream, maybe looking over old certificates or even trying the skills that you learned a long time ago, as rusty as you may feel right now, when you engage those skills, you realize that you still have it. You realize that you only need to learn how to ride the bike once and it stays with you for life. Sure, at first it's wobbly and there's even a chance that you're gonna tip over and maybe hurt yourself, but pretty soon you get the hang of it. It doesn't matter how long it's been since you got on a bike. Once you learn to ride a bike, that skill stays with you for life. This is your subconscious telling you that since you have overcome challenges in the past, whatever it is that's happening in your life right now that's giving you a bad time, you can overcome them. How? You've done it before. This is how you can be sure. This is how you can draw confidence, because you have what it takes. Now, of course, maybe it won't happen overnight. Maybe it will be painful, maybe it will be uncomfortable, possibly even involving some sort of embarrassment, but it can happen because you've done it before. This is not completely new. Maybe the forms have changed, maybe the people have changed, but the ability to learn something new, apply it, and then move on, you've done that. In fact, for you to be alive right now means that you have dusted off old skills and mastered old skills to make it to this point. So stop thinking that you are caught in a completely new situation that you have absolutely no control over, and that your worst case scenario will play out. That's just your mind playing tricks on you. You've done this before. You've got this. What does it mean to dream of dusting off old relationships? This is kind of a tricky dream to interpret because of the threat of nostalgia. There, I said it. It's a threat. Because in this context, it's negative. The problem with viewing relationships in terms of nostalgia is that we're not really looking for that person. Let's be honest. If you're looking for a grandfather that was kind and wise, that helped you, that enabled you to see who you truly are and blossom into the person that you are now, a lot of that is your mind in the present reading their wishes, their hopes into the past. I'm not saying that the person from your past is not kind, wise, generous, and giving. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is you need to focus on the process in which you find those traits and how you deal with those traits. Because a lot of the times, we use our memories of people from the past as crutches to deal with the present. And this is what makes dusting off old relationships in dust dreams so tricky, because we tend to do this. We fall into this trap again and again. So the key here is to be honest. Who are you? How do you really deal with people? How do you really think of people? How do you see yourself in relationships with people? And it's perfectly okay to be 100% honest and say, yes, I am egotistic, possibly even narcissistic. I use people. I look at them as extensions of my ego. That doesn't mean that you're a bad person. It means you're a natural person, because that's how a lot of people are. We're selfish. We have to be, otherwise we wouldn't survive. So once you make peace with that, then clarity will start to come in, and you'll have better perspective in how you look at yourself. Because when you see yourself dusting off old relationships, maybe looking at pictures, maybe picking up the phone and catching up on old times with an old friend or a family member you haven't seen in a while, you're actually talking to yourself. You're conversing with how you project your wishes, hopes, aspirations, and yearnings from the present to the past. Stop doing that. Deal with them today. Why are you desiring certain things and traits? Because at the end of the day, you're going to have to hold account to yourself. And really, one of the worst things that could ever happen is that you've somehow escaped into the past, trying to take refuge among shadows of people that really don't exist. Pretty sad, if you ask me. What does it mean to dream of dusting off old emotions? What if I told you that you're dead? Probably freak out, right? Well, it's true. The 8-year-old version of you is dead, long gone. But here you are, the 20-year-old version, or you're in your 30s or 40s, whatever age you are, you're alive right now, and you are a different person. Because when you were younger, you looked at the world differently. You had a different emotional repertoire, so to speak. But as life played out in front of you and you adapted to life, you changed. Change is the only constant, but for change to happen, something has to die, something has to give way, and that's precisely what's happening here. So when you dust off old emotions, like in your dream, for example, you see yourself in your dream thinking about somebody, you're getting triggered, either if you're really happy or you're upset, whatever the case may be, you are communing with your dead self. The emotions that you're feeling from that memory, as portrayed in your dream, made sense back then, but it may not make sense today. And this is the big danger with a lot of people who think that the truth somehow lives in the past. Nothing could be further from the truth, because the past is littered with dead people. The dead version of yourself lives in the past. Leave that be. Focus your emotional firepower on what's happening now. Because the more you think about the past, the more clutter, emotional clutter, you waste precious psychological, psychic, and emotional and spiritual energy on. You'd be better off. You'll get a better return on investment and return on effort focusing on the here and now. So old emotions need to die. It's nice to think back from time to time, to be encouraged, to be motivated, but leave it at that. Don't think that somehow the answer lies in the past, or that is the best version of yourselves. Stop playing those tricks on yourself, because they're not helping you. Thank you for watching this video. We appreciate your support. If you haven't already done so, please click the like button and hit subscribe. Please be sure to click the bell notification icon so you don't miss any of our updates. If you have any dreams you'd like us to interpret and analyze, please leave the details in the comments. We read every comment, and every once in a while we release user dream interpretations. We release them at least once a month or twice a month. But please, if you have a dream that you've been trying to figure out, leave the details in the comments. You don't have to leave your name. To support our mission of helping people from all over the world live their best lives by tapping the power of their dreams, please click the share button and share this video on all your social media accounts. Thanks a lot for joining us in this dream about dust, and we'll see you in our next dream interpretation and analysis video.